everyone. So in our last video in this series, we did see about different annotations, we did see about priority, dependency on methods, how do they work, but we saw them in simple seesaw statements, right? So let's see here. Okay. So okay, we did see here how did we use before suite, before class, before test, what do they follow, like what format do they follow sequentially and everything, right? So today what are we going to do is we are going to implement all of these things in our Selenium script. Okay, so for doing this, the website that we'll be using is this one. This is a orange HRM site. Okay, so we'll be just using this website for a few of the testing purposes. Okay, and also guys, please take care that I have already done this, but you will need to do this. Okay, so whenever we are doing Selenium script, then few very obvious things. Um, TestNG dependency is something that we added before in our last classes only. Okay, so this is something that you'll need to add. After that, Selenium dependency that we will need to add. Okay, because obviously we are doing Selenium script, so we need to have this Selenium dependency with us. And then this WebDriver Manager. Okay, why are we using WebDriver Manager? To launch our browsers. Okay, so please make sure that you have these things installed. If you want to have the detailed like knowledge about this WebDriver Manager, I'll provide the link. Like right now you can see here it above in the cards also, and also I'll be providing its link in the description. Okay, so in one line, WebDriver Manager will help you to launch your browsers without having any binaries in place. Okay, so that also we'll be seeing again in this video also. Okay, so without like wasting much time, let's get started. Okay, so what I'll be doing here is let me create a new class. So I'll be creating two classes for this particular video. Okay, so say I create a home page test class. Okay, and I'm now also preparing a login page test class. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so in this class, we will be testing the various things in home page probably, okay? And in login page test, we'll be checking the login functionality. Okay, so let us do a few simple things. So guys, I can write @test, right? And then I can say public void. Say firstly, I want to check the title of the page. Okay, so I'll say validate home title. Okay, fine. Now, okay, so I'll import this particular test, right? Import test. Okay, now, first thing first, where do we need to start? I'll need my Chrome driver to be installed, to open, right? I need my Chrome browser to launch, right? So I told you as that WebDriver, we can use WebDriver Manager for that. So guys, what you need to do that we need not launch, we need not download any exe and reference it. Okay, what I can do directly is WebDriver Manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. Okay, similarly, if you want to do for Firefox, you can write WebDriver Manager dot Firefox driver dot setup. Okay, so details for this video, please have a look into the video which is dedicatedly prepared for this particular thing. Okay, so after that, what I can say is WebDriver driver is equal to new. New Chrome driver. Okay, this is going to launch my browser. Let me import it. Okay, now let us navigate to that particular URL. Okay, so I'll copy this URL from here and I'll paste it right here. Okay, guys, then let us maximize the window. So driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. This will help me maximizing my window, and then I'll be also putting driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait. Okay, what does this do? This is, see, this wait is associated with this particular driver, which is an instance of WebDriver, right? So any element that you call using this particular driver variable, okay, so every time you call find element function, what will actually happen is the Selenium script is going to find the element in the DOM for the time unit that I provide here. Okay, before that, it won't give you an exception. Okay, so say I say 10 and I say here time unit dot seconds. Okay, so what it will do? It will at least wait for 10 seconds and it will keep finding your elements in DOM. Even after 10 seconds, if it doesn't find, then it will be giving a no such element exception. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, now I have launched my Chrome driver. I have gone to that particular URL. I have maximized the window and I have also put the implicit wait. What's next? So what's next is I'm going to say assert. Guys, if you want to know more about asserts, we have a video dedicated to this. Okay, so please watch that also. That's in the series itself. Okay, so this is a hard assertion that I'm putting here. Okay, so this thing will take actual and expected as a parameter. So what's my actual? So actually something that I'll fetch from the page. Okay, so I'll say my actual result is get a title from the page, and that would be my actual result. Okay, what's my expected? Okay, so I'll do a F12 here. Okay, and here itself I'll search where is my title. It is here. I'll copy it and I'll go here and I'll paste it. Okay, so this is my expected result. Okay, so it will check this against this, and I'll also put a message expected title of page did not match. Okay, so this message would be printed if at all your assertion fails. Okay, so this is my first test case. Now, proceeding to the second test case. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy this thing, I'll paste it here and say what's different things that we can test here. Login we are anyway going to do. Okay, so there are the social media buttons, right? So let's check if we have the social media buttons present in the page or not. Okay, so I'll say validate home page social buttons. Okay, so here let's take the expert. Okay, so this has a div whose class contains this particular thing, social buttons, right? So what I'll be doing is I'll just copy this, I'll write its customized XPath div whose @class contains this particular class. Okay, okay, but now as you see, I'm getting one of two. That means I'm getting two matching nodes for this particular element. Okay, so let's see the second one. Okay, so second one is somewhere which I can see. So let's go back to first one. I want to make it unique. Okay, guys, always whenever you're taking an XPath, please make sure that it is one of one. Okay, make it a unique XPath. So we'll go a bit of up, and I see that this, what I want, this particular element is within this div class. Okay, so I'll just say that, okay, so I have a div whose class is this thing, and within that I have a div whose class contains social. Okay, guys, the reason that I put double quote here is this is not a direct child. I mean, this div is not a direct child of this thing. Okay, so if it was a direct child, I could have put I could have put single slash, but as it's like grandchild sort of thing, therefore I've put double slash. Okay, so it's showing 1 of 1 now. I'll just copy, go back, and I will say, okay, so I'll say driver dot find element by dot xpath. What's my xpath? My xpath is this. Okay, and I'll say, okay, check if it is displayed. Okay, and here I won't say equals, I'll say true. Okay, so there are various methods associated with this assert class of TestNG. Okay, so I'm asserting it is true. So what I'm doing actually, guys, here is, okay, I'm putting a method here which is going to return you a boolean. Okay, so isDisplayed method will be actually telling you whether this element which you have mentioned here is displayed in the page or not. If yes, it will return you true. If not, it will return you false. Okay, and as I have said, assert true, that means that this thing should return you true. If it returns false, my assertion will fail. Okay, so that's done. I don't need an expected parameter here. Okay, so my expectation, I've already mentioned that my expectation is that this particular expression should result to true. Okay, and in my failure message, I will say that social buttons were not displayed in my homepage. That's all, guys. Right? So, as you see, I have right now created 2 test cases. Correct? Now, you must be thinking that it's looking a bit weird. Right? What's the reason? I launch Chrome here and then I launch Chrome here again. Right? This code is repetitive in my both the test cases. Correct? So do I really need to do repetitive code in my both test cases? No, right? So now this thing depends on, so we have various annotations like before test, before method, as we discussed in our last class, right? So now choice is yours. Like this thing, if I see, I just want to do only once before both. Like I don't want this thing to be executed for this test case and then again getting executed for this test case. I want this thing to happen only once and then both of my test case should get executed. Right? So what I'll be doing this is I'll be removing this. Okay? And I'll also remove this code from here. And I will create a before test annotation. Okay? So let's name it public void setup. And then I paste my code here. Okay, so let me import. Okay, so as we discussed in our previous classes, before test is going to get executed only once before your entire test set. Okay, so this will happen once and then both of your test cases should get executed. Right, now your next question should be, I'm seeing an error, right? You see this driver variable, it's not recognizable, right? Why is that? This is because it cannot identify driver. Reason, I have declared driver here, I have declared driver here, which is local to this function, right? So the identity of this driver ends within this particular block. So how is this function going to identify that, okay, what is driver, right? So for that, what I need to do is I need to make sure that this is a global variable. Okay, I do not need to declare it here. Okay, let me put an enter. Okay, so now as you see, this driver is recognizable with both the things. Okay, and I'll also make it static so that it holds its value throughout. Okay, and it is not object dependent, but it's like based on class. Okay, so Uh, okay, so we are like done. We have created a before test annotation, we have created a test case, and we have created another test case. Okay, now let's go to our login page test. Okay, what are we going to do here? We are going to perform our login functionality and logout functionality here. Okay, so again, I will create two test cases here. Public void login test, and then another @test public void logout test. Correct? I will import. Okay, so from the name of these functions, you can identify that what we are going to do here, right? We are going to log in and we are going to log out. But now, guys, see, again, we'll be needing this Chrome driver to launch and everything. Okay, so we will again need these before test methods and everything, right? So what we'll have to do is we'll need to write it again here, right? So rather than doing this, what we can do is let's do one thing, okay? So what I'll be doing is I'll create a new class and we'll name it as test base, okay? And rather than the repetitive coding, let's cut it all from here and paste it in my test base class. Okay, so my test base has this before test. Why are we keeping it here? Because guys, see, this is something common which is going to be used across the classes. So I don't want this code to get repeated in each class, right? Therefore, what we are doing is we are just writing it once. Similarly, I can say after test and I am writing public void tear down, and what I can say is driver dot quit. Okay, so rather than writing it in each test class or it in any one test class and then referencing it from there, what I'll be doing is I'll create a common base class and I'll write these common things like before test, after test right here. Okay, and now now these again cannot identify what is driver. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'll say extends test base, right? I don't need these unnecessary imports anymore, so I'll just remove it. Okay, so as it is extending test base, it can call the driver from homepage, right? Okay, now I'll do the same for my login page as well. What I'll do is extends test base. Okay. Okay, fine. So now I know that my before test is going to get executed and I'll get my browser with this particular URL open. So I can directly jump to my test case. So let me go back to my Chrome. Okay, so I'll take the web element for this. This is an input with ID text username. Okay, guys, you see by default these values are pre-filled. Okay, let me show you. You see, whenever I load the page, this username password comes in by default, right? So what we'll be doing is, let me copy this ID. What we'll be doing is driver dot find element by dot ID. Let's paste the ID here. I'll first say clear the text. Okay, so whatever is in there, let's say driver dot find element by dot same ID again, and then I'm going to say dot send keys and I'll send the same send keys here, right? Okay, similarly we'll do for password. Okay, so its ID is text password. Okay, so driver dot find element by dot ID. I pasted my ID for password here. clearing it out, right? And again, driver dot find element by dot id, and then send, okay, no, dot send keys. So what's the value of password, right? Okay, you see here, this is the value. Let's paste it out. And then I need to click on login button. Okay, so this is the login button. Its ID is button login. So let's copy it. Driver dot find element by dot ID. This is the ID dot click, right? So I have logged in to my page, but then I need to put an assertion to check if I seriously was able to log in or not. Okay, so how do we do that? So let's go on login. Okay, guys, so I have logged in now, right? And you see this title, this URL of the page now contains this dashboard word. Okay, so I can put an assertion saying, okay, now my driver.title should contain this word dashboard, right? So I'll copy this, I'll go back and I'll say assert true again. Okay, my condition is, okay, not in double quote, sorry. Driver dot my current URL should contain dashboard, right? And in my failure message, I'll type user was not able to log in, right? Great. Now let's try logging out. Okay. Okay. So here we have that link for logout, right? So firstly, we'll have to click on this particular arrow button, and then we'll have to click on this logout thing, right? Let's go one by one. So let's take the X path of this arrow. Okay, so this is an so this is an I tag with this particular text, right? Okay, so let's try I tag having class. Okay, let's try again. Okay, sorry, it's not a class, it's a text, right? Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'll have to say I tag having text this particular thing. Okay, so it's one thing. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll say driver dot find element by dot xpath, this one dot click, right? And then I'll say now I need to click on log out. So let's take the xpath for this. It has id logout link. So driver dot find element by dot id logout link dot dot click. Okay, so this will click on my logout, and then I need to put an assertion again. So my URL should contain login now, right? So I'll copy the same assertion line, okay, and I'll just say that it should contain login, and my failure message would be user was not able to log out, right? So see guys how we have like segregated or decorated everything with these different test and before test annotations. So whatever you feel like right now guys, I've done it in before test because I feel that it should be executed only once. If you have some code which you want to be executed before every test case, you can do that in before method rather than doing it in before test. So before method will get executed before every test case, Okay, so that's upon your requirement and your choice. So please take care of that. Okay, fine. So coming back to this. Okay, now guys, we also did talk in our last videos about priority and dependency of methods, right? So if I talk here, right now I haven't set any priority or depend method, nothing I have set, right? So how, in what sequence is this going to get executed if I execute it? Okay, we'll be seeing that. Okay, so it will get executed in alphabetical order, right? If you haven't set the priority, it will get executed in alphabetical order. We will see that when we run it. Similarly here, right now, no priority, no dependency, nothing. So both of this get executed in alphabetical order again, right? But now guys, see, we're logging out here. So logout is like irrelevant if my login itself is, right? If my login doesn't happen, if my this test case is failing, what's the meaning of logout? It is no way going to work, right? So what I can say this is, we can say that, okay, dependent, I can say that, okay, this test case is dependent on methods, and in my array of method, I can say that login. So what will happen? If my login fails, this test case won't fail. This test case would get skipped. Okay, saying this failed, so I'm not going to run anyway. Okay, guys. So that's all, guys. Okay, now next thing that we are going to do is we want, like right now, if you see, I can run my homepage test. Similarly, I can run my login test. But what I want to do is I want to run both of these classes together, right? So I have my testng.xml here, right? So let's make the changes here. So my class is within test Java homepage test, right? So I'll be saying test Java homepage test, and my next class is login page test within test Java again. Okay. So I'll say test Java and name is login page test, right? Okay. So as I have mentioned both these classes within the same test tag, my before test is going to get executed only once. Okay. Let's run the code and see how the running is. Okay, so it has launched the browser. Okay, so it has navigated to the website. It's going now to maximize. Checking the title, logo. You see, guys, this is logging it in, right? Okay, and now it's logging it out. Right, it has quit the browser. Right, so we see here my total test run was 4, passes was 4. Let's go here and see. Firstly, my homepage test has run. Let me just open it and I will bring it down. Okay. So first homepage social buttons and then homepage title. Why? Because as we said, we haven't set the priority. So by default, it will run it in sequential pattern. Sequential means alphabetical sequence. Okay. So sequentially this comes first and this second. So it has run in that particular pattern. If you want your script to first execute this test case and then this, so what we'll do is we will set the priority equals to 0 maybe, and then for this one I'll set priority equals to 1. Okay, so we'll be running it again and we'll be seeing if it gets executed in this pattern or not. Okay, but before that let's go here. Okay, so here as you see my login test is run, it has passed, and then my logout has also run and that has also passed, right? It is also giving you a timestamp that how much time did it take to execute this particular test case. Okay, guys, please take care. when you are saying depends on method, by default TestNG is going to execute these methods first and then this particular method. Okay, fine. Fine. And please do not get confused that, okay, anyway, alphabetically this comes first, so this is getting executed. I can change the name. So this is O, let me say log me in test. Okay, even now, this test case is going to get executed first. Reason I have said logout is dependent on log me in. Okay, so whatever be the case, this test case will get executed first. Okay, so okay, now what are we expecting? This test case should get executed first irrespective of the alphabetical sequence, right? So as this priority is 0, right? So first this test case will get executed and next this one, and similarly here login should get executed first and then log out irrespective of the alphabetical sequence, right? So we'll go to this testng.xml and we will run it again. Okay, so my browser has launched again. It's navigating to my website. Let's wait. Okay, so it's again, you see guys, it did log in first. It didn't try to check my logout before that, right? Okay, so let's wait for it to log out, right? And my browser closed. Let's go here, right? So see here, my homepage title got executed first, right? Why? Because I have said that do not go with alphabetical sequence. I want my test case to get executed first. So this first, this second. Similarly, here, even though I have not set the priority, but still this didn't get executed in alphabetical sequence. Reason I have said logout is dependent on login. Okay, so anyway round TestNG is bound to get run this first and then this second. Okay guys, now one last thing. Say for example, my this particular test case fails. Log me in, fails. What is the behavior that this test case will hold? Okay, let's see. I'm going to fail it explicitly. I'm going to write it anything, okay, which is obviously not there in the URL of the page, right? So let's see how it behaves. I'll go to my testng.xml and I'll run it again. Okay, so it has launched a browser. Okay. It has logged in. Okay, so you see here guys, my total test run were 4, my passes are 2, failures are 1 and skips is 1 this time, right? Let's see. My homepage test has passed, right? But my log me in failed, saying assertion error, user was not able to log in, expected true, found false, right? Because, no, here, okay. User was not able to log in and expected was true, but this expression evaluated false, right? And as this test case got failed, my logout test didn't run. You see, there's no red symbol here. There's a yellow symbol here saying it has been skipped, right? And what does it say? Method login page test dot logout test. Okay, let's scroll. Depends on not successfully finished methods, and therefore it had to be skipped. Okay, so that's how these annotations and these attributes of @test behaves. Right, now one behavior of testng.xml. Right now we are saying that my before test and after test are getting executed only once. Why? Because I have mentioned both of my test classes within one single test. Say these are different features in entirety, and I say I have 10 test cases. Okay, so I have 10 classes for 10 things, and I out of those 10, 3 belongs to one feature and 7 belongs to another feature. Okay, so what you can do is you can create feature wise test, and I can say that okay, this belongs my home page test. Okay, and this is my login test. Okay, so those three you can mention here, this 7 you can mention here. Okay, so let me do it like this. Okay, so your home page test is within this particular test and your login page test is within this particular test. So what will happen now? Before test depends on this test tag. As you have two test tag now, your before test is going to run twice. How? It will encounter this test tag. So before test will get executed first, then your class. So your all the test cases of this class will get executed. Test case ends. So after test, it starts. Before test, test cases, and after test again. Okay, let's see. We'll run it. Okay, so it has navigated to the website. It closed it, right? And see, it's opening the browser again, right? And now it's going to perform the login functionality and everything. Okay, so let's see. As you see, it's performing login now. Okay. And it had quit. Let's go here and see. Now you see, these are in different tests, right? My browser opened twice and closed twice. Okay. Result remains the same. Failure, escape, and everything. Okay guys, so with here we come to the end of this particular video. Hope we really did understand this annotations, priority, dependency, all of what we have learned till now in this particular series. What we have tried in this particular video is to transfer everything into the Selenium scripting, and here forward we'll be going along with this only. Okay, thank you for watching guys. Hope you enjoyed it and keep learning, keep coding. Bye bye.